Does something seem a little bit off? Do you feel very lost and confused about what the future has in store for you? Do you kind of get the sense that you're going through some sort of crisis and you're not really sure where to go from here? Well, if that's the case, then you've definitely clicked on the right video, because in this video, we're going to be talking about the notorious quarter life crisis. Now, if you are actually experiencing some of the things that I'm talking about in this video, I don't want you to be alarmed, okay? There are many men between the ages of 21 and 35 that are experiencing this, so don't feel left out. Essentially, I want to help you get to the bottom of this so that you can avoid the midlife crisis and live the best life possible. So with that being said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also let's get cracking into the video. So what is a quarter life crisis? Well, essentially, it's a midlife crisis, just sooner, okay? It's a time where a man has a real shaken sense of identity, where only now they're actually dropped into the real world, okay? It's a real confusing time of forced adulthood. You might actually be very hopeful and excited about the future, but at the same time have absolutely no idea what it is that you want to do. You know, it's a very confusing time for you. It's a time where you kind of feel that you're forced to be an adult, and you have to start taking care of yourself. You might be post-university. You might have just completed your studies. You might be just finished your apprenticeship. You know, you might have just taken on a new job, and without a lot of back-end thought, and you're not really sure how you fit into all of this. You know, there's a lot of struggles that go with being an adult, and even if you don't actually feel like you're an adult yet, society kind of expects you to at least fulfill the role. So I've got a list of questions here that you might actually be asking yourself as you go through your quarter life crisis. Now, if you are actually asking yourself some of these questions and it kind of triggers something in you, then I want you to write it in the comment section below so that it actually starts you on this journey to come out of your quarter life crisis. So here we go. So where am I going with my life? I want something, but I don't know what it is that I want. Do I really have that much time left? I don't know who I am and who I want to be. Why can't I lock into anything and commit to it? I don't know what my life is about. What do I want to achieve with my life? Do I really have to listen to other people's expectations of me, or can I actually do the things that I want to do? Was my early 20s wasted youth? Why have I not accomplished more? And the one that's sort of more for people that are pushing closer to 30 is, why am I not where I thought I would be at this age? Okay, so you've got all these thoughts bouncing around in your head, and it sort of induces a lot of stress on you. Okay, you might be bedridden now, you might be stuck. It might even get to the stage like it did with me, where it induced a lot of chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay, all these questions bouncing around your head as you go around your day-to-day activities really sort of forms part of what it is that is your quarter life crisis. Okay, what it really boils down to is it's the anxiety over the direction and the quality that is your life. A quarter life crisis tends to stem from this need to have your life together and to be very successful at a young age. Okay, there's a lot of stress and anxiety that goes with needing to know the direction of your life, where your life should be, and the probability of a successful outcome by your early 30s. Okay, there's a lot of thoughts around now on money, on your living situation, on relationships, both romantic and otherwise, just friends and that sort of stuff. And also, there's a lot of emphasis on a role that has meaning beyond just money, okay? And when that gap is exposed from where you are and where you think you should be by this age, it causes a lot of anxiety and stress on you. So how are these gaps created? That feeling of inadequacy and being left behind. So the first one is social media, okay? You've probably seen on Instagram, you see all these dudes between the ages of 20 and 29, they're killing it. They've got these sports cars, they've got the girls, they're able to freaking retire, and they're living all these lavish lifestyles. And the question sort of surface probably unconsciously in your mind, why am I not there yet? Okay, why do I have to work so hard, put all this effort in at this thing, not get paid a huge amount of money, compared to what they're potentially earning, millions of dollars, and it doesn't make sense. Why do I have to work so hard? And when that gap is exposed between where you are and where they seem to be, keyword seems, it creates a lot of anxiety and like this fear of missing out, and you start to feel very, very behind. This could actually be like a really, really good wake up call for you. Okay. It could be a time in your life where you recognize, hey, maybe I'm actually working dumb. Maybe I'm working hard but not smart. Maybe I actually need to start that side hustle so that I can actually move my life in that direction. It might be a time where you realize that it'd be a good time to pivot into something else that you may not have recognized there before, and you might actually see some of the good things from these social media influencers. The next gap is usually in your job, your studies, or like some sort of like big shift in mindset, okay? This can actually manifest in a number of ways, but I'll go through the common ones just so that you sort of get an idea. So the first one is you're locked into a job or a set of commitments that don't actually align with your core identity, okay? So what does this do? This makes you sort of like feel very trapped and like soul destroyed, because you're actually going to work just to collect a paycheck and you don't really know how to like pivot into something else because you haven't really built that level of courage just yet. The next one is you do have that courage, but you typically like change paths very often, and you've been going into like multiple different roles, and you've had multiple attempts to try and lock into something, but you can't seem to get there. Okay, you tend to move around a lot because things don't work out. You don't really feel at ease in the working environment that you're in, and also you just don't see like a long-term future in what you're doing. So what does this lead to? This leads you to a position where you can't actually like settle, and you don't actually get to like an expert level in anything. And this leads you to have absolutely no stability in your life. Another way is you might have actually been fired. Okay, bro, I know it sucks. Okay, I feel for you. I even put a video up on it about how to escape it when you're an emotional wreck. But this time in your life, you're very stressed over money. Okay, you might be feeling very isolated and alone, and you might not be emotionally ready to actually put yourself out there and go to job interviews. Okay, you can't seem to get over the rejection from what happened in your previous role. It's almost like a breakup to you, and you tend to find yourself going from like a distraction to distraction as you don't really know what to do or where your life is going. A lot of the questions that we talked about earlier in this video start to surface because your mind is now at idle, and we all know we all know the saying. It's like the idle mind is a devil's playground, and it's sort of created a lot of mayhem inside your brain because you've had actually like an extended time to actually reflect on your life. So another way that I actually see this go down in young men is they actually go to university to escape making big life decisions. Okay, it's an opportunity for them to actually to continue to perpetuate this illusion, and then later when the bubble pops post university, it just all goes downhill from there. So I do want to elaborate on this one because I think it's important. Okay, so I've had friends in the past where they go to university and they study something dumb like art that can easily be taken over by AI. But they don't put a lot of thought into whether or not they'll actually get a position post university, okay, after their studies. Another way that I see this go down is they go to university and they have only like a very passive interest in it. They don't really care too much about it, and it's just an opportunity for them to postpone their adulthood and for them just to be a kid just a little bit longer and not to actually commit to any one thing. And they can continue sort of playing computer games and sort of being like a young adult that's not actually grown up just yet. So from their perspective, it seems like a really good idea. Okay, oh, I'll go and do some studies. You know, it seems responsible. Everybody else is doing it. My family approves of this, and they might actually be paying for it in some instances. Little do they realize that the university system right now is completely in shambles. But anyway, that's besides the point. Essentially, it looks good to others. It has the approval of others, and because of that approval, and they're actually it feels like their life is going somewhere. It settles a lot of that internal anxiety, but really deep down, if they actually addressed it, they have absolutely no idea where their life is heading. Okay, it's an opportunity for them to just sort of like postpone their maturity. It's more of like an avoidance strategy, and it's so that they don't actually have to make a solid decision with their life, a solid direction, and pick a direction. They get to remain in delusion. It's a way to avoid the pain of like making a commitment and not have to address like the internal wants and desires of what they actually want, not what their parents and society want, and also to address the real darker internal things that they haven't really worked on, which is the feelings of feeling lost. Okay, because no one actually teaches this stuff except for me. But like, there's no one sits you down post university and says, what sort of life do I want to live? Who are the types of people that I want to help? It's just like there's not enough time for them to actually like address who they are at their core before they go to university. Another way this can actually be triggered is having the realization that the world could care less about you until you actually offer it some serious value, okay? You actually have to help others achieve their goals, okay? Like, no one actually listens to you until you've actually made it and you're actually contributing in some way, like whether it be your product, your services, your time, or your expertise. You actually have to give something to the world, and no one actually admires you for average work. So if you're like you haven't actually done a lot with your life, and the world actually shits on you now, ignores you, it can be a very, very painful experience to go through. Okay, you might have these thoughts come up in your head. You're like, what does the world even want from me? What can I actually offer the world? Why doesn't anybody care? Why am I just a cog in the machine? And all these thoughts are going through your head, and you're just like, I don't know what to do. Like in the next video, we'll talk about what you need to do. But for now, I just want to bring the awareness to that one. So I just want to go over briefly the one that got me, the gap that actually initiated my quarter life crisis, and that is the discovery of self-development, okay? The realization that change is actually possible and that you could actually do big things, okay? This was the biggest deal for me, discovering RSD, realizing that you can actually freaking improve yourself, get better with women and get better at life. It was the most mind-altering thing that I've ever been through. Okay, it was even more mind-altering than freaking going to Kapuka for 12 weeks. It was insane. And yeah, I'm going to put this in a separate video, but it's important that I bring it up in this video. So the next gap is the ones that are in relationships, okay? The ones in both your romantic relationships and also your friends. And maybe you might have actually been through like some sort of hardcore breakup, okay? So I'll sort of dissect some of these. So the first one is like maybe you've moved away, or your friends have moved away from you, and you've kind of like had that collapse of support network. You feel isolated because now you don't really know how to go out and make new friends, because it was so easy to make new friends before because you were all around the same age and you're all studying the same things. The next one is like you got stuck into self-development, okay? And now you realize that you actually have to let some people go, or maybe even if you're in my case, you have to let all your friends go. You realize all your friends are losers, and you feel isolated as well because like it's a really, really painful to let go of people that you were close with in order to get to the next level. The next one is like you're in your 20s and you haven't really found that life partner, okay? Or you have gone through all these different girls, you might have gone through a breakup or whatever, and you don't really know where to go from here. Like, where is she? Like, why haven't I actually found the right person? So all of these things converging together, okay, in the category of relationships is really initiates your quarter life crisis. We're going to be going into all the things that we talked about in this video, but we're going to dissect it in a way of being very, very solutions orientated. So if you're ready for that video, click that video right there.